Hey friends, what up? And welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yud Gimel, Daf 13 of Masechet Megilla. Friends, what's going on? What do you think today's Daf talks about? Well, just like in last Masechta, every Daf talked about fasting, it felt like. So it seems like this one talks about the Megillah. So friends, we're just going to go weiter and discussing the Megillah, okay? Alright, where do we start? I think we get up to, Alright, friends, we're going to start on Daf Yud Gimel, Amud Aleph, the last of the thin lines, where it says, Reb Shimon ben Pazi, Kava Posach B'divrei Hayom. This looks fun. So Reb Shimon ben Pazi, when he would start discussing Divrei Hayom, it's a book in, two books in Tanakh. So Amar Hachi would say the following, called V'recha Echod Heim, that all of your words are one, V'anu Yodin the Darshan, and we know how to expound them, because in Divrei Hayom there are lots of different names, and you have people with the same name with different names and the same name, and he's saying, look, you can't fool us. We know who's who. Vishra Yehudis Yoda is Yered. Avi Gdor v'es Chever Avi Socho v'es Yikasil Avi Zanoach ve'ele b'nei Bisya ben Baspara shelokach merit. Alright, that looks like fun. So his wife, who was the Jewess, I guess, Yolda is Yered, she gave birth to a fellow named Yered, the father of Gedor, and Chever, the father of Socho, Yikasil, the father of Zanoach. These are the children of Bisya. That's what the pasuk says. Bisya, the daughter of Paro, married friends. Amai Karla Yehudiya. So how come we call, I don't know, is it name Bisya or Basya? I mean, the pasuk says Bisya, but I feel like we always refer to her as Batya. I have a cousin, Batya Lemaisa. Anyways, so let's just call it Batya, because that's what everyone calls her. So, how come we call her Yehudiya? Why? What's the deal? Al-Shum Shekafa B'Avodah Zarah, because she rebelled against Avodah Zarah, as we learned at the end of the daf yesterday, that anybody who sort of denies Avodah Zarah is called a Yehudi. So any woman who denies Avodah Zarah is called a Yehudiya. Let's go right to friends. The pasuk says, that the daughter of Paro went to wash by the river. That she went to wash off the Avodah Zarah of her father's house. Why does it say that she gave birth to, I guess, Moshe Rabbeinu? So to say that anybody who raises an orphan in their house, the pasuk, the Torah treats it kilu yaldo, as though you gave birth to that fellow. Yered is Moshe. So Yered is Take Moshe. How come then they call him Yered? If his name is Moshe, then how come we're calling him Yered? Sheyard loim the Yisrael mon b'yamav, because in his days there was taka with the mon fell. So whereas the Gosagar changed its shehorid, that he made it, I guess, big fall down for them mon. All right. Gedor, why is he called Gedor? Shegador parts Hussein Shal Yisrael, because he fenced up the breaches in Israel. Chever Shchiber Yisrael Levin Shabashamayim. It's called Chever because he connected the Yidden to their father in heaven. Wow, that sounds very nice. Socho Shenaisilem Lisol Kesuke. That Moshe was like the Yidden, for the Yidden, like a sukkah, like a tabernacle, like a booth. I guess he protected the Yidden like a sukkah, like a dwelling. Yikusiel Shekavu Yisrael Le'el B'Yomov. That sounds very beautiful. That Yikusiel, I have an uncle, Lemaisa named Yikusiel. I think it's Zalman Yikusiel Yehuda, I think. Anyways, so Shekavu Yisrael Le'el B'Yomov, that the Yidden hoped for God in Moshe's days. Zanoach is Niach Avon Hussein Shal Yisrael. Zanoach is that he abandoned the sins of Israel. Avi, and it says in the pasuk Avi 3 times. Av Batere he was a father in Torah studying, Torah learning, Av B'Chochma, he was a father in wisdom, Av B'Nevius, he was a father in prophecy. Alright. Moshe Rabbeinu, friends. Big deal. Bela b'nei Bisya, Basya. What do you think it is? Well, it's from that pasuk, right? So it says, Ve'ela b'nei Bisya bas Paro, asher lokach merid, that she was married to Merid. V'chimerid shma v'alo Kalev shma. His name is Merid, his name is Kalev. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter says, Yavu Kalev, she marid ba'atzas meraglim, yet let Kalev, who rebelled against the evil advice of the spies regarding Eretz Yisrael, V'yisa as bas Paro, shemad be'gilule be'savir, and let him marry the daughter of Paro, who rebelled against the Avodah Zarah of the house of her father. Alright? Very, very interesting. Asher haglam Yerushalayim, that so the pasuk in the Megillah says that Mordechai was exiled from Jerusalem. Rav says Ravik Shagala Miatzmo, that he exiled himself. He wasn't like exiled with the rest of the people. He exiled himself. All right. By Yomenes Hadassah, he raised Hadassah, who's Esther. Karla Hadassah, Karla Esther. We call her Hadassah, and we also call her Esther. We call her both names. Tanya, we learned it by Rav Meir. Omer says Rav Meir Esther Shma. Really, her name is Esther. Hadassah. So if her name is really Esther, so then why do we call her Hadassah? Al Shem Tzadikim, because of the righteous. Shenikru Hadassim, that the righteous people are called Hadassim, and Esther was righteous, therefore she's called Hadassah. And similarly it says Vu Omed Bena Hadassim, referring to the Eibishter. It says that he is standing among the myrtle branch. Alright, fine. Yeah, as Rashi says, V'shchina Mishtayikra. Pasuk's talking about the Shechina, the divine presence. Alright. Rabbi Yehuda Omer says, Rabbi Yehuda Hadassah Shma. Excuse me. Rabbi Yehuda says the Taka, her name is Hadassah. It's not Esther. We all think that it's Queen Esther. It's not true. It's Queen Hadassah. Well then, V'lom Nikra Shma Esther. So why does everybody call her Esther then, if her name is really Hadassah? Hashem Sha'osim Misateres Devarel. Esther, because Misateres Devarel, she would hide, conceal her words. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, in Esther Magedes Esama V'gomer, that Esther refused to tell Achashverosh her nation. She hid that from him. She concealed it from him. Rabbi Nechemia Omer Hadassah Shma V'lo Monikres Esther. Says Rabbi Nechemia that Taka, her name is Hadassah. If that's the case, then why do we call her Esther? Shehayu Umis Ha'olam Korin Osa Al Shum Istahar, that the nations would call her Esther because she was like bright like the moon. Alright. Fine, as Rashi says, Yofek Halavana, beautiful like the moon. Alright. Benazai Omer says, Benazai, Esther, Lo Arucha V'lo Ktsara Isa. Esther wasn't too long, not too short. Elo, Beinonis Ka'adasa. Rather, she was just right, like a myrtle. Alright. Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha says, Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha, Esther Yakrokas Isa. Says Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha that she was taka green. But there was a thread of chesed, of kindness, that was stretched out upon her. Wow, that very interesting. Esther was taka green, but with the chut shel chesed. That's very, very interesting. Friends, I have a shtickle tea left over here. Just give me a second. This tea is very geschmack. I don't know if I told you about it. It's vanilla chamomile. Oh yeah, I told you about it. Yeah, exactly. Vanilla chamomile with the organic honey. Yeah, what do I tell you? Oh man, I couldn't hold in the laugh. I tried. Let's go weiter. That Esther does not have, right? It says that Mordechai took her in because she didn't have a father and mother. Okay. So if that's the case, if the pasuk already says that Esther didn't have a father and a mother, then how come afterwards it has to say Uv Mosavia v'ima, and when her father and mother died? Kilu, I know she doesn't have a father and mother. Why do we have to mention also about her father and mother dying? Memela, her father and mother died. She doesn't have a father and mother. It says Avacha Ibrisa Mesavia, that when her mother became pregnant, her father died. Yoladta Mesa Ima, and when her mother gave birth to her, her mother then died. So she really never had a mother or a father. Okay. Excuse me. And when her father and mother died, so then Mordechai took her Levas as a daughter. Tana Mishum Reb Meir says, Reb Meir, Al Tikrei Levas El Lebois. Don't say that you took her as a daughter, rather you took her as a wife. And similarly it says, Vilarosh in Kol, that I believe it's Nasan Hanavi was describing the plight of Uriah Hachiti to David HaMelech, Uriah Hachiti being the husband of Bathsheba. Vilarosh in Kol, and to this destitute fellow, he doesn't have anything. Kim Kivsa Achas Kitana, just one little sheep, Asher Kono, that he purchased, Vayichayel, and he made her be alive, Vatigdal Imo, and she grew with him. Well, the sheep, I guess, grew with him, V'imbonav Yachtov, and together with the children, Mipito Tochel, she would eat from, well, I guess the sheep is a reference to Bathsheba, I guess in this case, Mipito Tochel, and she eats from his bread, Umikos Utishte, she drinks from his goblet, his cup, V'cheko Tishkov, and she lies in his bosom, Vatihilo Kivas, and she is like to him like a daughter. One second. Because she sleeps in his bosom, therefore she is his daughter. Ella Levias, no, it means that they sleep together as husband and wife. Here also, when it says Levas, it means as a wife. It says in the Pasuk that Esther had 7 attendants essentially. And it says Rave that she would use those attendants to figure out when was Shabbos. Kilu, every day she had 7 attendants, 1 for each day of the week. So Kilu, she would know when it was so and so's day. That means that Memele it was Shabbos, and that's how she would know when Shabbos was. Vayishaneh, now it said that he changed her and her attendants. Amarav she'echila Michael Yehudi, says Rab that Achashverosh fed her kosher food. Wow. Ushmuel Amar, or at least Jewish food. Alright, Jewish food. What was Jewish food? Macaroons? Jarred gefilte fish? He went to the kosher aisle in the supermarket and, figure that that's what we eat. Shmuel says that he gave her fatty hog bacon. Okay, well, must have gone to the wrong aisle. Whereas Yochanan says that they gave her seeds. All right, seeds. Hopefully not sunflower seeds. Spitting out those shells all over the floor. V'cheinu Omer Ba'ia Meltzer Nose as pas bogom. That with Hanani, Mishal, and Azariah, they would feed them seeds instead of the regular cuisine. Alright? 6 months in myrrh oil. Alright? Myrrh oil, that sounds like very nice oil. What's this myrrh oil? Chia bar Abba Omar Satchas. So says Reb Chia bar Abba, you know what it is? It's Satchas. Rav Huna Amar says Rav Huna Shemen Zayis Shloi Vishlish. It's the oil of olives that have not reached a third. Everybody here likes olive oil? Probably. Tanya was taught at Brisa. Rav Yehuda Amar says Rav Yehuda An Pekinun Shemen Zayis Shloi Vishlish, that An Pekinun is olive oil that has not reached a third. V'lo Masachin also, how come you put it on? Shemeisher Saseh or Ma'adin Asabosur, because it removes the hair and makes the flesh very geschmack. Is it good for dry hands in the winter? The mice, that's I don't know. That's really the important thing, right? Maybe not. Maybe there's other views on different oils and things that I'm unaware of. So at in the evening she would come to. Doesn't Achashverosh have stuff to do? I'm sorry. What the heck is he doing? Okay, he's a freaking king. Doesn't he have things to do? Or he's just sleeping with another girl every night? I mean, people, I don't know. I thought people have stuff to do. Anyways, every night another girl would come to him. Every morning she would leave. All right. Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, Bignusa shall also Rasha, from the sort of nudnikness of that nudnik. Lamadnu shvacho. We also learned maybe a tiny bit of a positive thing. Shalohay mishamish mitasu bayom. All right, that's about as good as you could say about Achashverosh. He didn't sleep with anybody during the day, only at night. So I guess that's something good about him. Okay, but the Esther knows chen, and Esther had a lot of favor. Amar Belazar says, Belazar Milam Shil Chol Echad Ve'echad In Saloku Umoso, that to each fellow she looked like she came from that person's country, that person's place. I don't know, there was something about her that was very familiar to people. Then Esther was taken in to Achashverosh in the month of Teves. Yerech Shenen Guf Min Aguf. Teves, when it's cold, is a time of year that one body benefits from the warmth of another body. Kilu, it was an ideal time for her, if we wanted to make the whole Purim story happen. So Teves would be a good time for her to enter in to Achashverosh's lair. And Achashverosh Taka loved Esther from all the other women. And she had favor and kindness before Achashverosh more so than all of the other virgins. So on the one hand it says Noshim, women. On the other hand it says Besulis. Amarav Bikesh Litum Tam Besulatam Tam Beulatam. If Achashverosh with Esther, if he wanted the experience of a virgin, of a Besula, so he was able to have that experience. If he wanted the experience of someone who was not a virgin, so then he had that experience. I guess it worked out in that sense. And the king had a very big feast. So the thing is, he was trying to, there was something elusive about Esther. There was something that he couldn't quite figure out, a nut he couldn't quite crack. He didn't really know who this Esther person was and what nation she came from. So Ovid Mishtaya Velogayale, so Yitaka made for a feast, and he thought maybe if he makes for a feast, so then maybe she'll tell him Epis. Nope, nothing. And then, so you can add a few words over here. Banochel Dinosasa, he made tax breaks. Right? Dali Karga Velogayale. I don't know, somehow I guess he figured if he would make tax breaks, you would tell him something, but no go. And then you can add Vayitin Masis Kiara Melech. And he gave gifts, so Shadar Pardishne for Logayale. He sent all sorts of gifts and stuff, but no dice. She, even with all these things, she wasn't interested in telling him anything. And then when he made another round of girls to figure out who he likes the best, at that point Achashverosh went and he asked Mordechai. And he said, Omar, Enisha Miskana Ela B'yere Chaverta, to which Mordechai said, oh, if you want to get her to talk, you better make her jealous. So then he figured, okay, so why doesn't he, Achashverosh figured, so let me get more girls involved, and maybe Esther would get jealous and tell me something. Even so, she didn't budge. Tichsiv, the pasuk says in Esther Magedes Mulad V'gomer, that Esther refused to tell where she came from. Omer Belazar had gesagt, mein Dichsiv, what does the pasuk mean? Lo yigra mitzadik einov. Okay, that God doesn't turn his eye, or he doesn't lower his eye from the righteous. In reward for the modesty that there was for that Rachel had. Zochsa v'yotza mimena Shaul. So for that reason, Shaul came from Rachel, came from Binyamin, who came from Rachel. And as reward for the modesty that there was by Shaul, Zachav Yotzos mimenu Esther, he merited that Esther came, right, it was, Mordechai, and we're assuming that therefore also Esther came from Shaul. Alright, fine. What was the modesty by Rachel? The Pasuk says, Vayagid Yaakov l'Rachel, that Yaakov told Rachel, Ki achi aviyahu, that Yaakov, when he met Rachel, he said that he is his father's brother. He's Rachel's father's brother, Lavan's brother. Is that true? V'alo ben achos aviyahu. He's Lavan's nephew, not Lavan's brother. So, rather, Yaakov Avinu said to Rachel, Min sebas li, marry me. Amarle, she said to him, yes, I will marry you. Miu, however, Abba Ramo'ahu, my father is a very tricky fellow. V'lo yacholta le, and you will not be able to beat him in trickery. Amarle, so Yaakov Avinu says to Rachel, Achiv ono baramos, I am his father. I am his brother. I am his brother in trickery. I am just as tricky as he is. Amrle, right? I guess if right, don't ask me. Ask Esav. Ask my brother Esav. What do you think I'm doing here in the first place? I tricked him, and now he wants to kill me. Anyways, editor's note. Amrle, then Rachel says to Yaakov, "Umishar l'tzadike l'saguye biramusa." Is it permissible for the righteous to be tricky? He says, of course the righteous can be tricky. Im nover titabar vim ikesh titapo. That if a fellow is pure, then you have to be pure with him. But if he's crooked, so you be crooked. Omarlo. So Yitaka said to her, Yaakov Avinu says to Rachel, Umayram Yusa. Okay, no. So what exactly makes your father so tricky? So Rachel says to Yaakov, Isli achto de kshisha minoi, that I have a sister who's older than I am, Leah, of course. V'lo mansiv, and she's not. V'lo mansiv li mikama. And my father Lavan is not going to marry me off before he marries Leah off. And therefore, you, Yaakov, are not going to be able to marry me. You're going to have to marry my sister Leah. So he says, well, how about this? I'll give you signs so that, only you know the signs. And at the wedding, when your father tries to swap you for your sister, she won't know the signs and everything will fall apart. So Kimata Lelia, and then when the night of the Chasana came, Rachel said, Hashta mikasva achtoi. Well, if we do this whole signs shtick, my sister Leah is going to be embarrassed because she won't know the signs and everything's going to fall apart. It'll be a whole thing. Misaitinu Nila. So Rachel gave the signs to Leah. And this is what the pasuk means when it says that in the morning it was Leah. What does it mean? That on the wedding night it was Rachel and only in the morning it was Leah? What does that mean? It was Leah the whole time, no? Rather what it means is that because of the signs that Rachel gave to her sister Leah, Yaakov Avinu didn't know until the morning that it was actually Leah because he thought that it was Rachel because the signs were correct. Because of this modesty that she didn't want her sister to get stuck in a mess, so she merited that Shaul would be a descendant of hers. And what modesty was there by Shaul? The pasuk says, that when Shmuel found Shaul when he was looking for his uncle's donkeys, and Shmuel told Shaul that will be the king, Shaul then told his uncle, yeah, we found these donkeys, but he didn't mention anything about the fact that he was going to be king as well. So therefore, Zocha v'yotzos mimenu Esther, that because he showed such modesty, such humility, so he merited that Esther should be a descendant of his. V'amar Rabbi Elazar, says Rabbi Elazar, K'shakadosh Baruch Hu posek gedula la'adam, that when the Eibishter decides that there's going to be greatness for a certain fellow, posek levanov ulevnei vanov atzov kol adoris, so he sets it up so that there will be greatness for this fellow and for his children and his grandchildren, for all of the generations. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, "Vayoshivim lo netzach vayigbo," that the Eibishter raises them up. V'imheges daito, but if a fellow gets haughty, then Hakadosh Baruch Hu mashpilo, the Eibishter is going to lower him. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, "V'masurim bazikim v'gomer," that if a fellow starts getting fancy, so he gets in big trouble. There's Maimer Mordechai Esther also. And Esther would do what Mordechai says, that even while Esther was at Achashverosh's palace, she would show the Damnida to the sages, I guess, when she needed to. Kasher, excuse me. Kasher also ba'omna ito, and like when Esther was with Mordechai, Omer Rabba bar Lima Shaisa Omedis Michekel Shel Achashverosh V'Toveles V'Yosheves B'Chekel Shel Mordechai, that she would, spend the night with Achashverosh, and then she would get up and she would wash herself and then go to Mordechai. Bayom Mahem Mordechai Yoshev B'Shar Melech Kotzav Bigson Vaseresh. So the Megillah, it says in the Megillah that in those days Mordechai was sitting at the gate of the king, and Bigson and Seresh, they got very upset. That God made a king very upset with his servants in order to do the will of a righteous fellow. Umanu Yosef, that's Yosef Shneimar, as the Pasuk says, Vishamitonu Nar Ivri V'Gomer. Right, that Paro got very upset at the Saramashim and the Saraofim. And that enabled the whole thing with Yosef to interpret Paro's dreams, because they ended up in jail, and then with them was Yosef, and he ended up being able to interpret Paro's dreams, and the rest is history. Avodim al Adoneim lasos neis letzadik, and he also had servants rebel against their king, their master, in order to create a miracle for a righteous fellow. Umanu Mordechai, that's referring to Mordechai Dichsiv, Vayevoda Adover, the Mordechai Vigomer, that Mordechai found out about the plans, the scheme of Bigson and Seresh, and then he informed the right people, and they got in big trouble, and Pashit, they got hanged, Lamaisa, and then Mordechai ultimately then got, was written down in the books, and then he then they took him on a horse ride, and it was very nice, and ultimately Mordechai got Haman got hanged, and it was a whole thing. So the Bigson and Seresh, Bigson and Seresh rebelled against Achashverosh, which then ended up working out well for Mordechai. Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Bigson v'Seresh shnei Tarsiyim havu, that Bigson and Seresh were Tarsi people. Biloshin Tursi, and they were talking about their scheme in the Tursi language. And they said, once Achashverosh found Esther, we've been so busy because he always needs drinks and things, and we have to bring these drinks. So Bavinatil Eres Basefel Kadei Sheyamus. So they said, why don't we put some poison into like a vessel and give it to him and poison him so that he dies, and then we won't have to work so much. But what they did not know is that Mordechai was one of the people who sat in the Lishkas Agozis, in the office of the hewn stone. That is where the Sanhedrin was in the Beis Hamikdash. That Mordechai was a member of the Sanhedrin, and he knew 70 languages, including Tarsi, and therefore he knew exactly what they were saying. Omar lo. So then, big son said to Sheresh, Kilu, one of them said to the other, Valo in mishmartu mishmart choshave. But wait, we have different watches, we have different responsibilities. How can we just sneak off to poison the king? So Omar lo, ani esh mishmartu mishmartcho. So the other one says, don't worry, I'll take care of my guard as well as your guard, so you can go kill the king. That after Mordechai informed the authorities, so it was looked into and it was found that they weren't found at their proper guards, because they were off trying to kill the king, and that's how they got busted. So it was after these things. So there's the beginning of the third parak of the Megillah, right? It's talking about when Haman starts to come to attention. So Achar Mai, after what? So Amarava says, Rava Achar Shabara Kadosh Baruch Hu Refuah L'Maka. After God already had created the antidote for the sort of punishment. Damar Rish Lakish, that says Rish Lakish in a Kadosh Baruch Hu Maka es Yisrael, that the Eibishter does not smite the Yidden Elim Kain Bori Loim Refuah Tchila, unless he first creates for them I just had the word oh man, now I can't remember. What was the word I was thinking of? Remedy, I guess. I don't think it was the word I was thinking of. I feel like the word I was thinking of ended with like titude or something. Something etude. But remedy sounds fine. So, chaval. It would have been such a geshmaka word. So, anyways, the Eibishter, when he comes up with a punishment, he first has the healing, the remedy planned out beforehand. So it was only after God already created the cure or whatever, that is when Haman rose to power. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, Kirafi the Yisrael v'nigla avon Ephraim. That only Kirafi the Yisrael, only after the refuah, the antidote, friends. That's what I was saying of antidote. That only once the antidote was created, v'nigla avon Ephraim, only at that point was the sin of Ephraim revealed. Aval umis ha'olam, but the nations of the world, einokein, it's not like it for them. Make osen, Hitaka smites them. V'achar kach bor lehem refuah, and only later on he figures out the antidote. Shnemar, as the pasuk says, v'nogaf Hashem es Mitzrayim nogov v'rafu, that the Eibishter smote the Egyptians, a smiting, and only afterwards an antidoting. Vayivas bein of the shloch Mordechai levado, and it was pasnished to only send his hand against Mordechai, right? It wasn't interesting enough to only punish Mordechai. He's just one fellow. Amarava says Rav batchila b'Mordechai levado. So it started with just Mordechai, lepasov ba'am Mordechai. Then it continued to the entire nation, right? Mordechai's nation. Umanu rabbanon. That it's a reference to the rabbis. Lepasov b'chol Yehudim. And then in the end, all of the Yidden got were in Haman's sights. Hipilpuru agoro. Haman made a lottery. Tana, it was Taka taught, Kevin Shnafel poor b'chodesh Adar samach simcha gedola. When the lottery fell out on Adar, so Haman got very, very excited. He got very, very happy. He says, "Wow, this is good fortune." Or manafeli poor b'yerech shemez bo Moshe. Look at that. The lot fell out and came out to the month that their leader Moshe died. That's good fortune. They're in big trouble now. What he did not know is that, well, yes, Moshe Rabbeinu died on the 7th of Adar. He was also born on the 7th of Adar. One second. Friends, do you hear this? This is so annoying. Alright. Friends, oh my gosh. That is so loud. Oh my gosh, dude, please stop. Alright, I'm gonna pause the video 1 second. Holy shnikes. I don't know, it sounds like apparently one of my neighbors died or something. So they're going around with like a microphone and just like yelling. It's so loud. There's something in Yiddish about how everyone should go to the cemetery, but I don't think he realizes that I'm recording Babylon Talmud. It's very distracting. All right, let's go weiter. So Haman got excited because he said, "Oh wow, this is a very auspicious time to kill the Jews because it's Taka the month that Moshe Rabbeinu died." But what he didn't realize is that it's also the month that Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Yashnam Echod. So then Haman, when he was trying to convince Achashverosh to go along with his plan, so he says, Yashnam Echad, there's this one nation. On my Rav, it says, there's nobody who knew how to speak like a nudnik like Haman did. So he says to Achashverosh, I have a good idea. Let's kill the Jews. Achashverosh says, I'm nervous to kill the Jews. I don't want God to do to me like He's done to the other people who started up with the Jews. So Haman says, don't worry about it. They're falling asleep at the wheel. They're not really paying it. They have a lackluster approach to doing mitzvahs. So then Achashverosh says, Isbuhu Rabbanon, but they have rabbis. The rabbis aren't lackluster. The rabbis are doing the mitzvahs just fine. So Haman says, no, not true. It's all one nation. They're all falling asleep at the wheel. Maybe you're going to suggest to Achashverosh that I'm creating a bald spot in your kingdom, that now there's going to be like one section of your kingdom that I'm just killing. Not true, right? It says, right, right? That they are spread out. It's not any one particular place, so I'm not going to create a bald spot in your kingdom. And maybe you're going to say that you get benefit from these Jews. Meforad. No, they are meforad, kipreda, they're like a mule. Zo, she'ena osa peris. It's like they're like a mule. A mule doesn't have children. V'shematomer ika medinto minayu. And maybe you're going to say that there's a state full of them. No, they're among all of your states. V'dasem shonus mikolam, and their ways, their laws are different than all the other nations. V'lo achle minon, that they don't eat from us. V'lo nazbe minon, they don't marry our daughters. V'lo minsabe lon, and we, right, their daughters won't be married to us. Ve'ezdate hamelech einam osim, and they don't like pay taxes. The mafke the kulashata b'Shabbos yom Pesach yom, because they're always saying, well, today's Shabbos, today's Pesach, I can't do anything. And there's no benefit, it's not worth it to leave these Jews around. That they eat and they drink and they disgrace the kingship. If a fly falls into their cup of wine, so they extract the fly and they drink the wine. But if you, the king, were to so much as touch the wine in the cup, they would throw it on the floor and they wouldn't drink it. A fly falls into the cup, they remove the fly and drink the wine. If your finger touches the wine, they won't drink it. That if the king is good, let it be written that we can kill all the Jews. And I'll organize for you 10,000 bricks of gold. So Omer Rish Lakish says, Rish Lakish, Golav Yadua Lifnei Misha Omer Vaya Olam, that it is revealed before he who said and the world was God. Shasur Haman Lishkol Shkalim al Yisrael, that in the future Haman was going to take these shkalim, right? To put into the treasury of Achashverosh in order to kill the Jews. Therefore, the shkalim, the shekels of the Yidden, precede the shekels of Haman. That on the first of Adar they would announce about the shekels and about the klaim, the like shatnez and stuff. That we already organized the machzas shekel before earlier than when already from the beginning of Adar. All right, friends. Well, that was Daf Yud Gimel of Masechta Megillah. I mean, basically, we just kept on going weiter in the different psukim of the Megillah and sort of unfolding the story in kind of agadic ways. Friends, that was Daf Yud Gimel of Masechta Megillah. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.